Welcome to the last episode of the educational series, The Jaguar in the Maya Forest. Episode 4. Recommendations to avoid attacks on cattle and improve productivity. The conversation between the two friends was about to end, and Juan changed his way of seeing things.
Billy, but is there something else we can do to better protect our cows?
Yes, remember that we have to take good care of them because we lose cattle for a number of reasons, such as accidents and illness. But in relation to the jaguar, that was exactly what I asked my niece about a year ago. Now she has already graduated from university and she is an expert in wildlife. I remember she gave me these tips.
Look, Uncle, I'm going to give you some recommendations to avoid presence and attack from a jaguar near your house or your farm, and you better tell your friends about it too. Although everything I'm about to tell you involves making an investment, in the end it pays off because this will improve your productivity and later it will represent having savings. First of all, don't let your cattle run free. Have good fences and put artificial drinking fountains or improve aguadas, which don't dry out because they have nylon and the water does not filter into the ground. It is also designed to prevent the cattle from contaminating it, and this prevents them from drinking contaminated water and getting sick. These improved aguadas have to be located far from the forest and from water sources such as rivers, streams, and natural watering places. It is better to have cattle in pastures closer to the houses, and it is better if night confinements are made in corrals with a roof to keep the animals safe at night. In these places, they are safer from any attacks by dogs, coyotes, pumas, or others, especially young cattle or small domestic animals. Gather your cattle at the end of the day to place them in safer areas. Prevent cattle from spending the night near streams or forests, which are places of greatest risks. Another piece of advice, plan the calving periods of the cattle to manage safer areas or padlocks during that period. It is also good to keep the most vulnerable animals such as goats or sick and weak individuals in the company of adult and experienced animals, away from forests and rivers, especially at night. It is very important that you remove dead cattle and domestic animal carcasses since these can attract dogs, coyotes, pumas, and even jaguars. And this way, they might begin to like cattle meat. Keep good records of your cattle, and it is best if they receive veterinary care.
And you know what? From that day on, I began to put all the advice into practice. And as I told you, it's been a year now and none of my cows, my calves, or goats have had any problems with animal attacks. And of course, I've done better in business because I have not lost any of my cattle.
With all this explanation, I understand you, and I think you're right. I'll follow your example and I will put these tips into practice. I think the best way is not to be against the jaguars, but to avoid provoking them or exposing the cattle. In addition, now I know we definitely depend on nature, and it is better to do everything to preserve it for our own good.
From that moment, Juan began to put into practice all the recommendations that Billy gave him, and after a year, he realized that his productivity had improved, and to date, none of his cattle had been affected. Months later, he saw a jaguar from far away. He had never seen one, but in the short time that he had it in sight, he realized that as soon as the jaguar felt his presence, it ran away to take refuge in the jungle. There, he understood that his friend Billy was right. Jaguars run away from humans and they don't represent a risk as long as they are not provoked. This educational program comes to you from the project Saving the Jaguar, an ambassador for the Americas, Maya Forest, implemented by the World Wildlife Fund. We appreciate the technical input provided by the Wildlife Conservation Society.